One of the biggest problems that crafting game masters have is there's never enough room to store all of our pieces. I mean, I have a full room dedicated to store all my stuff, and you can barely walk around. Well, there's two solutions for this. Make your house bigger, or make your project smaller. The first one is just too easy. You just put a bunch of bricks together and dip them in cement, and then you throw some boards and some nails, and there you go. I mean, it can't be that hard when you have like 257 shows about that, right? I'm going to show you the really hard stuff, making your terrain smaller, like this small, inside a bubble. I really hadn't planned to build this, but I had this all-round bottle from a water sprayer, and my imagination just went off like a child on drugs. Just kidding, don't give children drugs. They're expensive and the kids really don't appreciate. I started by drawing some circles and lines connecting them, and then cutting alongside the lines and the edges of those circles. Then I used a piece of paper to kind of guess how big the terrain bit inside could be. I wanted this part to look like an actual chunk of land that was ripped apart, so I carved a bunch of rocks on the bottom part. Then I drew a plan for what I wanted to put at the top. I made some rocky mountains that sort of spiraled down a hill, melted a bed for a river, and on this side I'm gonna put a forest. Then I primed and painted it, and decided that I wanted the river to fall over the edge, to have a mini waterfall. I also wanted to have a castle or fortress or some building of some kind, to add to the story. Because if a wizard trapped a piece of landscape inside a giant bubble, maybe he's only a nature enthusiast. But if you imply that there might be people trapped in there, it becomes way more interesting. Like, maybe this is the magical equivalent of playing Sims. So yeah, I carved the tiniest piece of foam to make just a couple buildings, and then a wall, a doorway and 2 towers. While I waited for the paint to dry on the buildings, I made the forest by gluing some homemade turfs and also some bushes on the hill. After that, I glued the wall and towers, the building inside, and covered the seams with more homemade flocking. For the waterfall, I used a piece of cotton that I twisted and teared into shape and glued it to the edge of the river. To make the water look more like actual water, I used some glossy varnish, which I extended over the top of the cotton as well. Then I made the circles and stripes that will cover the separation between the two halves of the bottle out of paper and taped them around the bottom half. Then I used this as a template to trace the whole thing as a single piece. Making it from a single piece instead of having a bunch of loose ones is gonna guarantee that I don't have any mismatches and everything fits nicely. Then I used pieces of paper to cover the mismatches because nothing fitted nicely. Or maybe I did it as decoration. I guess we will never know. I lit up a candle to make the crafting process more romantic and heated up a needle to carve some runes. I painted the whole thing gold with some dark wash to make it look kind of worn and dirty. I stripped a tea light to place on top of the bottle and act as a sort of sun. I had to use your standard orange flickering light, because I could not find any white, yellow or at least not flickering lights around me. And if I ordered them online, they would not arrive in time. So right now the lighting looks weird and I will be replacing it as soon as I can. In the meantime, let's imagine that I am not terrible at planning my crafts and the light is white, okay? I pierced a hole on top of the bottle to insert the light bulb and made a case with more EVA foam and a cover for it. The cover is just a cone of EVA and XPS foam on top, carved like some sort of rocks with a pool on the center, and with some paper details. For decoration, not for hiding any mistakes, of course. After priming and painting, I'm gonna use these party toothpicks to make some gems, Infinity Gauntlet style, and place them into the holes I made in the XPS foam. The idea is that this piece can stand on its own as a prop, like a magic altar or the weirdest baptismal font. You know, that thing where the priest dips your baby because a magic man in the sky told him to. For the clouds, I shaped some cotton and glued it to the top half of the bottle. To keep the chunk of terrain in place, I put a rounded piece of foam through the bottle's hole and stuck a toothpick in. Then I sculpted a base with more XPS foam and carved some stone texture. Another strip of EVA foam for decoration. Now that all the painting is done, I took a Q-tip soaked in nail polish remover and used it to rub away all of the mistakes. I realized that the base I built was too short, so I made another detachable one entirely out of XPS foam, with the already classic strip of paper to cover the gap in between the pieces. The good thing is now I have 3 pieces that can work on their own. The top as a magic fountain, the base as a pillar or altar, and the main piece as, well, a dwarfed fortress trapped in a magic bubble. I used some varnish to make the plastic bottle more glass-like, but I touched it before it was dry and fucked it all up. Luckily I can fix it in the future when I replace the light for a white one. And you got it. If you make all of your terrain that size and put it in a magic bubble, you will have so much more room in your house. Maybe you won't be able to fit your miniature sim, but who cares? Use your imagination. Go play outside. Eat your vegetables. Subscribe to this channel now.